What's poppin', homies? It's your favorite homegirl, Gossip Girl, and today we are going to talk about the dark activities that goes on in Rikers Island, especially in the women's department. Okay, now I'm not sure if you guys heard about this, but back in January, a male was instructed to say he was a transgender woman to get into the women's facility. And let me just tell you this, you know, it's bad because he's using being transgender where he's not. He's lying. He's saying that he was a transgender woman, and that's why they put him in the women's facility. And they have to come up with some type of solution here, because I feel like if you are a transgender woman and you still have your man parts, either you need to go into a different population, meaning they need to create a population just for transgender women that have their male parts, so stuff like this doesn't happen. Now, I'm not saying all transgender women do this, but you have some guys out there who will say they are transgender women just to commit these crimes, just to get into the women's facility, to rape them, to SA them, all types of stuff. So something has to happen, and this is looking really bad, for the LGBTQIA community. It really is. Because you have people who are trans women, they're not doing this type of stuff. So it's basically looking bad for them. You get what I'm saying? And it's crazy. It's sickening for a guy to even do that. You got crimes going on in the male facility. I've talked about that. This is not my first time talking about Rikers Island. I spoke about Rikers Island many a times. The women, yes, they committed crimes, but that is not an excuse for them to have to ignore the fact that a male is there. He's not transgender and he stayed there for a while. No one did anything about it. Okay? The COs in Rikers Island are horrible. They don't care. They don't care. Now, you have some that are not crooked, but you have a lot that are. So let's go ahead and get into it. A former prisoner at Rikers Island claims that she was raped by a male inmate posing as a transgender woman, with her repeated complaints to the Department of Correction staff going ignored. And that's according to the lawsuit. The anonymous plaintiff, identified as Rose Doe, was sexually propositioned, groped, and raped by the prisoner within days of him being moved into protective custody dorm at Rikers Island. Rose M. Singer, and that's RMSC, that's a women's facility in Rikers, all right? And he was moved into that protective custody on April 4th, 2022. And this is, everything is in the lawsuit that I'm reading to you guys, all right? Now, in addition to lying about his identity, Rose Doe believes that her alleged attacker was instructed to claim that he was transgender by DOC staff so that he could stay in the female dorm where he would have access to the female inmates. And that access is, taking a shower with them, using the same bathroom, looking at them getting undressed and dressed, sleeping next to them. It's horrible. Now, the perpetrator informed a trans inmate that he was not transgender or gay, but that he was just there to get P and then the Y at the end. So you know what I'm talking about. We have some accounts from inside the prison that as the transfer request was being made, the DOC officer said something along the lines of, if you want to go into the women's facility, all you have to do is say you're trans. Now, complaints from Rose Doe, she was 21 years old then, and other inmates about the man's transfer to their unit were allegedly ignored by correction officers Jennifer Cruz and Rashida King, who were named as defendants in the Bronx Supreme Court suit along with the city. So the city is being sued, and so are the Rikers Island facility, Jennifer and Rashida. Now, defendant Cruz told plaintiff and the other female inmates in no uncertain terms that she did not care what happened to them, saying, "I don't give a F." The alleged attacker, who is not named in the suit, had been implicated in at least 5 Prison Rape Elimination Act claims, all of which were still open cases at the time of the transfer, according to the filing. So, of course, they didn't put his name in the suit. Okay, so we don't know what his name is, and we don't know what he looks like. He has been implicated in at least five Prison Rape Elimination Act claims, all of which were still open at the time of his transfer. Somebody has dropped the ball heavy, and somebody has to pay for that. Rose Doe was particularly nervous about the man's presence because officers were really at their posts. Within the first 2 days of his transfer to the dorm, the alleged male inmate stared at Rose Doe while he expelled himself, and once exited the bathroom stall with his, exposed, as he was exposed, okay? He was exposed. And then he groped her butt. During the latter incident, the jail guard present did nothing except yell for the man to leave the bathroom, according to the suit. So at that moment, he should have been left. They should have been got rid of him. At that point, Rose Doe wrote 2 complaints about the male inmate's behavior. After reviewing the complaints, the acting warden of the RMSC, Floyd Phipps, sent an email that read, "I feel that the individual, the perpetrator, is not a suitable fit for RMSC. Rose Doe does not want to remain in the same unit due to feeling unsafe." But correction staff still failed to remove the offender from the all-female dorm. The next morning on April 7th, while Rose Doe was sleeping in her bed, the perpetrator took the opportunity to SA her again, pulling down her pants while she was sleeping and began to grape her. Now, Rose Doe eventually freed herself and alerted the guard, who was supposed to be sleeping in the plexiglass bubble, and nothing happened. The other women in the housing unit did what defendants repeatedly failed to do. They removed the perpetrator from the housing unit by physically removing him from plaintiff and packing him up, describing how the female inmates chucked the man's belongings out of the unit. So you mean to tell me the guard's in the plexiglass and that person can't move fast enough to gather up the perpetrator and get him out of there? So it took the other women in the housing unit to take charge. Now, the rapist was quietly shifted back to his original dorm the next day. Okay? Still there with the women. He was shifted back to his original dorm the next day, but not before Rose Doe was moved to the general population as a punishment for reporting her SA. So you mean to tell me she gets punished and get thrown to general population because she reported being SA? I'm telling you. Now, Rose Doe, who was discharged from Rikers Island in August of 2022, is now suing several DOC officers, the acting warden, and other jail officials for negligence and civil rights infractions. Because she violated the policy of holding it down or not reporting abuses while in custody, Rose Doe was a target for retaliation from correction officers. Rikers staff breached their duty to care, their duty of care, to Rose Doe when they not only covered up her assaults, but failed to provide her with adequate amount of medical and mental health services, failing to collect, document, and review evidence. So they didn't give her the proper medical and mental health services that she needed when she told them about the assaults. They didn't collect or document or review any of the evidence. Now, over 2 months after the April 7th incident, jail investigators told Rose Doe there was insufficient evidence to rule on what had occurred, according to court documents. A spokesperson for the City Department of Corrections said they could not comment on an active litigation. Now, the alleged perpetrator, who has not been named publicly because he has not been charged related to the attack, was transferred to state prison in August of 2023. And that was said by the DLC rep. Now, Miss Rose Doe decided to use an alias in part because her own criminal case is still pending. And that's what's said by her attorney. She very well may be sent to prison. She's afraid that if her name gets out there will be retaliation in the prison system. It's not necessarily that my office or Rose has an issue with transgender people, what the attorney said. This is more so a matter of safety and the fact that someone can use this hot button issue as essentially a loophole to gain access to women inside of Rikers Island. That's horrible to me. That is just so horrible to me. And this has to stop before it gets worse. It undermines the transgender community that this person is able to do that, he said. Speaking to NBC New York, which first reported on her suit, Rose Doe says she still lives in fear. I'll be scared for the rest of my life, she said. They just took my complaint and said they would do something about it, but they never did. That is absolutely horrible. Now, this case, I was doing some research. And what happened to Rose Doe is horrible. But we know she's not lying. We know she's telling the truth. Now, I was doing some research, and I came across the person that I was looking for. I don't know if I should say her name or not, but she is also included in this affidavit or this sworn statement. And I'm just going to read what the statement says. The following is a sworn statement based on incidents surrounding my detainment at RMSC on Rikers Island. My attorney on my case for my alleged charges, they gave the name of the attorney, and he must be informed of this petition. I am advised to have you reach out to him. And then she gives the phone number to the cell and to the office, right? Okay. She gives her name. I'm just going to call this person CB. Now she's already in a case of her own, a murder charge, all right? But it's her and I think about 5 others, and I'm not going to call their names. My incidents with trans women are as follows, and she gives dates. 12/2021. She was sent to Bedford Hills as a detainee and was housed in the cell area with my next door neighbor being a man for 2 months. On many occasions, he would walk right into my room as I was getting dressed or just coming out of the shower to ask for a light and would just stare at me, making me feel uncomfortable and awkward. On September 2022, I was returned to RMSC on Rikers and housed at the housing that she was at. My bed was next to two trans women who would stare at me while I was getting dressed, while I was sleeping, while I showered, and while I used the bathroom. I would wake up on many occasions terrified from having nightmares of being raped. Then noticing them just laying or sitting on their bed watching me and chatting, just talking, and they'll start smiling at me while holding their private parts. Now this was handwritten, so I'm trying to understand this person's handwriting. And she said they started to expose themselves. They walked in on me in the shower or while using the bathroom, which was, an open dorm and very uncomfortable. When I asked them to stop, then I would get cursed out and be called ugly or fake body. And that she wants to be like them so bad. And then the threats of them, beating her up and stuff like that in the shower. Just a lot of stuff that goes on with trans women and other women in the jail. So she said that two trans women, they call themselves trans women and they were harassing her and everything like that. So she gave in her statement along with 4 other people. Okay. There's other statements here. There's a lot here to be, but like I said, I don't think I can say exactly who she is. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But she has her own murder case now. Oh, Lord. Something has to be done. Something has to be done. This can't go on. It's got to get to the point where trans women, if you have your male parts, private parts, you have to be put somewhere else. Because this can't keep happening. And then the security guard, well, not security guards, the COs, they don't do anything. Okay? They don't do anything. You can tell them until you're blue in the face. And they don't do anything. And even if you reach out to your lawyer and you get the attention of the news, you can't really say who you are because here comes the harassment. They're going to throw you in general population. And then the COs are going to attack you. It's like the women in Rikers Island. Yes, they are there because they committed crimes, but this shouldn't have to happen to them. You have the male CEOs walking them down hallways, taking them into different rooms, and making them do things that they don't want to do. And if they don't do it, the wrath is going to come down upon you. And it's sad. And it shouldn't have to be this way. But anyway, you guys, that's all I have on that. When I get some more updates, I will let you guys know. But let me know in the comment section, how do you feel about all of this? And I really wish the LGBTQIA community will talk about this more because it's happening a lot more. Okay? Men are saying they trans just to get into the jail with all the women artists that have that access to women so they can do their ungodly crimes. It's horrible. It sucks. It sucks. But anyway, that's all I have on that, and I will talk to you guys later.